And welcome back, everybody, to another episode of Bum and the Bloom, episode 303. We are kicking off 2026 position previews tonight with the one, the only catching position because catchers matter, everybody. So we're going to get you covered there, kickstart that. So you'll see the same process, position by position. We have a lot of news to cover, tons of listener questions, and much, much more. But before we get to that, you can find me on Twitter at BDintric, the podcast at Bubba Bloom Pod, on Patreon at patreon.com/Bubba Bloom, and my co-host, as always, on Twitter at RyanBHQ, Ryan Bloomfield. How we doing, my friend?
We're good. We're not as good as you. I mean, this is the show you live for. This is why you get up in the morning. It's why you brush your teeth. It's why you go to work. Just for every year's catcher preview, and that night is upon us. So I'm happy for you for this moment, but also happy to kick off position previews. Doing it a little bit earlier this season. We kind of ran out of episode. We ran out of time. Didn't run out of episodes. Ran out of time in the spring last year. So moving everything up a little bit. Like you said, a ton to cover tonight. Ton of news, ton of questions, ton of just content with catchers. So looking forward to it. I don't know. Did I even need to show up tonight? This is your show, man. This is your show.
Yeah. I love this show because I feel like this is the one time where I can kind of like maybe teach you something. So it's kind of nice.
No. You tell me which players are on which teams all the time.
That's true. That's true. But no, this is the one thing I've written up about 60 something catchers for one book. I did a dynasty reload for HQ, and we started doing our rankings that'll be dropping in a couple of weeks. So catching, I feel like I have a good idea on, but obviously things can still change as trades or injuries or whatnot throughout a baseball season. But we'll get to that shortly. Without wasting time, Ryan, let's get into the news and notes as the hot stove is cranking up. It seems to always happen. Like guys want to sign before the holidays. So it's a thing. Then it kind of dies out for a little bit. And then right around spring training, we get another push, it feels like. So we'll kick it off with a big one that took place right after our last show. Pete Alonso signs the Baltimore Orioles. For the most part, Ryan, Pete Alonso is still a stud. Pete Alonso is still a first 2-round pick. There's arguments you can make him. He's the first, second, or third first baseman for individuals. But it doesn't affect much for the way I already viewed Pete as one of the top first basemen in the game.
No, and this is something that you said, I think with Rafael Devers a few shows ago. It's just like the power plays anywhere. Not really too worried about where Pete Alonso's playing. He's going to slot and probably hit right behind Jackson Holiday, Westberg, Henderson, maybe in front of Basayo, Rutschman, whatever. It's going to be a fine lineup in Baltimore. So that's fine. We can cancel my we can officially cancel my Ryan Mountcastle spec.
That was quick.
That on the all 400s ADP show we did last week.
Yep.
I think the next day after I recommended Mountcastle,
pretty much, yeah,
we had Alonso sign there. So Mountcastle is, I don't want to say done, but he's pretty buried, and perhaps Mayo as well. We'll see if the Orioles are done yet or not. I think it may behoove them to make another trade, perhaps for a starting pitcher. I don't know. I'm just a fantasy baseball podcaster, but that's what I might do. I don't know. On the Mets side, first base is open now, right? Perhaps Mark Vientos slides over. Perhaps your boy Big Red, Ryan Clifford, as a late draft and hold spec. We'll see. We'll see if the Mets are done too. But yeah, obviously big hole. Sucks to bad week for Mets fans. Sucks to be a Met fan right now.
Yeah, there's a few names we're going to mention here that not be wearing the blue and orange this year.
Yeah.
Big Meat Pete. I think the big winners there are the teammates around him. Jackson Holiday should get even more love, I think, and we'll get to him in a couple of episodes for second base. I'm very high on. I was already excited about Holiday. This pushes it up even more for me.
Whoa, you are. I just pulled up our rankings.
Yeah. No, we will talk about that in a couple of preview episodes. Yeah, that'll be. I already like the look on your face on that one. But like you got Holiday, as TDK in the chat said, Ward. The guys around him are gonna benefit a lot from him. And yes, the Orioles are still rumored to be getting starting pitching because they need that. Otherwise, I guess you do need to score 15 runs a game to compete. The other part on the Mets, yes, everyone's going Vientos. I hope it's Vientos because then Beatty can play third. We're all happy. The Mets have come out and said that Jeff McNeil might, play first base against righties, and there's a platoon situation there. And as our buddy Rob D mentioned on his show, the pool hitter, this is on the launch angle. that McNeil actually hits lefties quite well. Also,
Yep.
McNeil's just had issues staying healthy of late, and he's not like the powerhouse you'd expect at the corner infield. But it's something to keep an eye on in New York as well as they keep moving pieces around there. The other Met that has left town, Edwin Diaz, signs with the Los Angeles Dodgers. Lots of clips coming out about the Mets not wanting to pay Diaz his asking price, and the Dodgers saying yes right away, which is interesting to see from a billionaire team in New York also. But Diaz leaves. Now everyone's saying RP1. And the most important part is now we don't have to worry about any of the 12 specs in LA.
Yeah, that's kind of the nice part, right? Because I don't think even Dave Roberts is going to Dave Roberts this one.
If anybody could,
If anybody could,
it's him, but he
if
should.
anybody could, it's Dave. Whatever. Mason Miller, Edwin Diaz, whatever. RP1, 2. Order them how you want. I'm probably not paying that price for either one according to our ADP tracker, the last 7 days and 15 teamers, both Mason Miller and Edwin Diaz have an ADP of 29. That is the second round, folks, of 15 teamers. Just kind of reflects the bonkers prices that are relievers so far this draft season. But yeah, we get to forget about Tanner Scott, 50 other Dodgers relievers, and Devin Williams gets solidified right on the flip side for the Mets. So there we go. We have some dust settling finally in the closer market.
Yes, sir. The closer market has been busy of late. It seems like there's fewer closers available and more teams that still need them, which is going to be interesting to see how that feels. We'll get to that later.
Well, the Tigers took them all, bastards.
Yeah. Tigers took them. The Braves took a couple. We'll get to that in a minute as well. Braves have been busy the last few days. We'll start with Mike Yastrzemski. He signed a multi-year deal with Atlanta. It was very surprising to me. Like, it's nothing against Yaz. I think he's a very serviceable platoon outfielder. But the Braves paid him for multiple years to platoon in left field. He's a strong side platoon, a guy that year in and year out doesn't hit for a massive average, but he's going to hit you like 15 to 20 home runs. Almost pencil that in with Yaz if you look at his stats. And now he's going to be hitting like 6th or 7th in the Braves lineup. So, again, when you're talking DC picks, I love grabbing him as a 7th, 8th outfielder. That ADP should come up a little bit. I don't think people go too crazy for it, but very serviceable addition for Atlanta.
Very serviceable. I actually, despite likely hitting lower in the lineup, like you mentioned, Bubba, I think this is a great move for Yaz. Just looking at the StatCast park factors for lefty hitters, Yastrzemski has basically played his entire career in 2 of the worst left-handed parks for home runs. That's the Giants, and the Royals were actually 28th last year for lefty homers. He's going to the Braves. Truist Park last year, over the last 3 years, park factors was number 7, 7th friendliest home run park for lefties. And that plays even more for Yastrzemski because he doesn't have like light tower power. I think there are some of these homers where it does matter which park Yastrzemski is in, and he hit so many fly balls. 48% fly ball rate last year for Mike Yastrzemski. This is a guy who needs a good hitter's park to see that home run total go. I think will go into the 20s this year. He's never really hit 20. I guess he hit 25 back in 2021, but has not hit 20 homers in each of the last 4 seasons. I think that changes. I think this is a great move for Yastrzemski. That park is just so much better, and Yastrzemski's the perfect fit for that park.
Yeah, over the last 7 days, ADP of 432, according to the draft tracker. Last 3 drafts, though, 408, 414, 415. So, like I said, he's moving up, but it's not astronomical by any means.
Still cheap.
Still very affordable in your drafts. The Braves made another move, and you know what? Ha-Seong Kim, he gambled on himself and won. I'll give him credit on that. He turned down the player's option. They re-signed him for $20 million. I think he earned like another $5 million or something on that deal. I was kind of like perplexed early on because I thought he was a perfect fit there. He's back. I love him. If healthy, we know Kim's got power. He's got speed, usually an okay average, like really solid stuff. And it's at a shortstop position where, he's going at like 270 right now. So I think this is another one that I like quite a bit.
Yep. Another side. I think the Braves have actually done quite well without spending. I think they have like the 5th or 6th highest payroll in baseball. So they are spending money, but they've kind of quietly made a few moves to their lineup here that get the Bloomfield seal of approval, for better or worse. That may be a kiss of death for some. But no, Ha-Seong Kim, like it's the if healthy part is the biggest. I think that this guy can just stay on the field. It was 278 plate appearances across the majors and minors last year. Missed the first 3 months recovering from shoulder surgery, but then had back issues, injuries before that, hamstring. Yep, in the past. So that's why the price is cheap. But if you get even 4 or 5 months out of Ha-Seong Kim, I think this is a guy who could pitch 30 home run or 30 steals. Sorry. Maybe 10, 15 home runs with a decent batting average, and going that late, like that's a really good price for Ha-Seong Kim.
Yeah, hasn't moved a ton since he signed. Like maybe that'll change as we get deeper into the draft. It probably will change, but still, what's it change to, like 210? Like it's still not bad.
Not going to move up a ton.
No,
Not going to move up a ton, I don't think.
He still sits in a very pretty range that I'll take that chance all day. When I started on the shortstop rankings, and I'll probably have him higher than what most are going at this point in time. Robert Suarez signed with the Braves. So you're joking about the Tigers signing all the closers. Now the Braves have 2. And Suarez has been one of the top closers in baseball the last 2 years. We talked about it when we recapped the relief pitching position. He has like more saves. I think he had like 74 something saves over the last 2 years. Like crazy number for Robert Suarez. He signed a 2-year deal, so he'll probably be the closer next season for sure, because Iglesias has a 1-year deal. But right now, the Braves are saying Raisel has the closing gig, obviously subject to change based on performance or injury. But Suarez's ADP, it's actually a roller coaster. It's
weird.
261, 54, 82, 137, 302, 86, 147, 155. It hasn't like leveled out. It's all or nothing, it feels like, with Robert Suarez. It's like, are you handcuffing him? Or are you just saying, screw it? Did you get auto-picked? A lot of questions in there. But, Robert Suarez is still getting some love on the draft streets, which a little too rich for me, but I kind of get it at the same time.
I don't get it at all. I don't see why. In the ADP tracker that we're looking at, this is a tool for Patreon folks. This is looking at drafts that are in progress and updated every day. Why would you take Robert Suarez in the top 100, top 150? It doesn't make any. It must be an auto pick. I don't know.
150, I get if you drafted Iglesias, you want to handcuff him. Like that's one of the most elite
in the 10th round, though. I don't know.
Hey, if you feel comfortable with your later picks, like it's that, or you're taking a chance. Like that's where Will Vest and those boys were going at 150-ish. So because with all the signings we've had, the closers are going so high now. Your options are getting real thin real quick. And so you have to like kind of convince yourself basically that this is a good idea. And I think people are doing that.
They're not convincing me, Bubba. I don't get it. This is someone who's not going to be the closer. There's a chance. I mean, Raisel Iglesias lost the job last year and really only regained it because the Braves bullpen was so bad. They didn't really have anyone else to turn to. That may not be the case in 2026, but I don't get some of these picks on Robert Suarez going in the top 200 when he's not the closer. It just that doesn't make sense to me. And I would just add, it's just a brutal break for people who took Suarez properly before the signing. That is tough.
Let me ask you this. Abner Uribe's ADP is 150. It's 104, 173, 122, 118. Which one would you rather have?
I would rather have Abner Uribe than Robert Suarez right now.
Okay. But in reality, we don't know if he has a job either, to your arguments here.
We don't know. He could. We know Robert Suarez doesn't have the job. I mean, we have been told.
We know because we've been told this. We have not seen this.
Whatever, man. What are you talking about? You're trying to get, Bubba Socrates over here. I need a jury of our peers. I need a jury of our peers to rule on this conversation. You didn't go to law school. It shows.
Oh, not a chance. Not a chance. I just watch those, True Detectives and stuff, and those never end the way they're supposed to. But, all right, we'll move on from that.
I'd rather someone who maybe has a 50% share, or could be the share, because we don't know about McGill. So, I'd rather have him than Robert Suarez.
Not saying you're wrong. I'm just trying to play devil's advocate on this one. I don't have any shares of Robert Suarez since he signed, so if that helps with the conversation is all. Michael Soroka, he signed with the Arizona Diamondbacks. Soroka was looking pretty strong last year before injuries kind of ruined things down the stretch. Like under the hood was really, like the strikeouts are good. Sierra's versus ERA were decent. There's a lot to like there. I think it's a combination of can he stay healthy because he'll get the innings if he does, and his ADP is 407 over the last 7 days. Like that's got some life to it.
Yeah, I don't know. The last 3 years for Soroka, 2023 missed 27 days with a forearm. Last 2024 missed 68 days with a shoulder. Last year missed 79 days with biceps and shoulder. Like this is all arm injuries. I don't think Michael Soroka is right. I don't think we can trust him for over 120 innings, something like that. Not to say you can't draft Soroka. I think he's a back end kind of innings eater when he's healthy. The skills, weren't that bad last year, but this doesn't move him up any rankings of mine.
Okay, I'm looking forward to this one. Foster Griffin signed with the Washington Nationals. I'm really looking forward to Ryan's like who on this.
Well,
one.
yeah, I don't know who this guy. How am I supposed to know who Foster Griffin is?
That's what I'm here for. See, Foster Griffin, to be fair, has only been drafted in the last 14 DCs according to the tracker. ADP 622. When as high as 505, or no, someone went 179. That's a interesting choice. Foster Griffin signed with the Nationals to a cheap deal, but what he has done in recent seasons in the NPB has been very, very strong in his 3-season stretch there. I was reading a bunch of, I guess, people that know more than me, obviously. ERAs have been strong. Strikeouts have been quite improved on Foster Griffin. The reason I just bring this up, because it's the old adage, like, okay, if he has a rotation spot, and we're talking post 600, I think we have to look into this. I think he's better than Alek Manoah. He's a former MLB player, went to the NPB for a few seasons, but there's different guys that like they show his metrics, like they have their version of StatCast. It looks very, very strong over that 3-year stretch. But what I was looking for, so over 315 and 2/3 innings in his 3 years for the Yomiuri Giants. He had 2.57 ERA, 103 WHIP with 318 Ks and 70 walks. So pretty impressive stuff. Not an over, like Nick Pollock has a tweet. He used some data from the MPB, their StatCast stuff. Fastball's 90 to 91, but he has a nasty slider, like really nasty slider. He also has a cutter and a change. So just a solid toss and lefty is what it sounds like. And as a 4th or 5th starter at ADP 620, I think it's actually not a horrible decision.
Sure. That was a lot of words on Foster Griffin, man. That was a lot. In times like these, honestly, in times like these, I do go back to our trusty old friend, Mr. Mulhall, old Tom, did write up Foster Griffin in the Forecaster and concludes the write-up with, let's see, 4-pitch mix, includes fastball, curveball, cutter, changeup, drawing some MLB interest, even though his ceiling is probably an average number 4 SP. So I think that's kind of in line with what you were saying, and maybe you take that at 500 or something in a draft, but I'm not too excited.
All right, moving on. You want to see excited? The Giants signed Adrian Hauser. Honestly, kind of like it. I still want them to sign Chris Bassett. The Giants are going to spend big bucks. They got Hauser for $11 million a year. Like, am I saying it's the next coming of anything? No, but it's an innings eater that had a 3.31 ERA last season over his 125 innings. He is dirt cheap in drafts. ADP's 577 over the last 7 days. I have him in almost 50% of my DCs.
Oh,
like I've taken him towards the end because I just know it's an innings eater when all things are said and done. And I knew he'd sign somewhere where they'd want to let him eat innings. Not a strikeout guy by any means, but deep play.
Yeah, and you obviously
heavy ground ball too. Heavy ground ball.
That's what I was just going to say. I think this is an organization philosophy thing. They brought in your guy Ron Washington, who's gonna instantly teach all the Giants how to play infield again, and improve their infield defense. But half joking there. Adrian Hauser is a big ground ball guy, 49% ground balls, and he throws strikes. Like a pretty good ball rate last year. It's easy to laugh at Adrian Hauser. No, he's not going to post another 3.31 ERA. No, he's not going to miss bats or get you Ks. But I think in this kind of theme that we've had of taking late pitchers that you can stream 10, 15 times a year, Adrian Hauser at home against non-Dodgers in that division.
Yep.
Sure. Yeah, why not?
Yep.
I'm not going to hate.
So proud of you. I was expecting to get some ridicule on that one,
Oh,
so
that
that's
was good.
good.
But what about your Giants? Didn't they? This isn't on the news, but didn't they? Who else did they add?
Jason Foley, who won't be ready
There you
till middle
go,
of the season, coming off a
Jason
shoulder
Foley.
surgery. But I'm willing to if he shows up and pitches half a season, over under 4.5 saves. I'm taking the over on that one, just because the way the Giants operate, it's like unless they go out and sign Fairbanks or something, it's a disaster in that bullpen to find a closer right now. So yeah, they got Foley and they signed Gregory
Some other
Santos to a
dude,
minor league. Gregory Santos to a
Gregory
minor league
Santos.
deal. Yeah, former elite closer for the White Sox, traded to the Mariners, injured and DFA'd. He's coming to
Yeah.
AAA with an invite to spring training.
Good day to be a
Big
Giants
day.
fan today.
Better than the Angels, though. The Angels, we've talked about, they traded for Vaughn Grissom recently. They got rid of Taylor Ward for Grayson Rodriguez. They signed Drew Pomeranz today, who hadn't pitched in 3 years before last year. We're not going to talk about that. What we are going to talk about, who I think might be their closer headed into 2026, because they have no one else, Jordan Romano. And people laugh at this, but let's look at the roster of the Los Angeles Angels of Anaheim. And unless you're going out there with like Stevenson, who can't stay healthy, this is likely a situation you have to learn to embrace. And Drew Pomeranz has only been drafted in the final, or Jordan Romano in the last 3 DCs, 727, 723, 679. I think that's going to keep moving closer to like 630, 620. Like, I think there's a real shot he starts the season as a closer.
I mean, the way relievers are going, I would take Romano in the 400s, honestly.
Yeah, I don't disagree.
Like he had and there's a very real chance Jordan Romano's broken, right? The velocity has gone down each of the last 3 or 4 seasons.
Well, he's in the island of misfit toys now. It's perfect.
He is, but that's what you want. Even though the Angels aren't that bad of a team. Like they're not White Sox, like low White Sox, low Rockies bad. There's going to be saves there. 16% strikeout minus walk last year for Romano. Again, not great, but it's average, above average. It's certainly not. He was not as bad as his 8.23 ERA, 145 WHIP. It was more like a little bit over a 4 ERA guy. Again, not good, but not horrendous. And if you're the guy, I think that warrants consideration. If you can somehow squeeze 20 saves out of Jordan Romano, if he can stay healthy, I don't think that's a bad pick to make around 400, 500 right now.
Yep, I'm 1,000% on board with you there. I've mentioned it in the Discord when it happened, and I got chuckles because like seconds later they signed Pomeranz as well. But Romano, I think legit has a chance to get up in there. That's for sure. So,
yep.
Yeah, looking forward to that for sure. All right, that wraps up the news. It's good to have hot stove.
Are you though?
Why not? We talked about how nasty it is out there, so give it a whirl. Let's talk about it. The moment everyone, including obviously myself, has been waiting for. 2026 catching preview. Ryan, let people know if they're watching on YouTube what they're looking at here on the board, and we'll get cracking on this one.
Yeah, so this is going to be the format. We've done similar format the last few years, but what we're looking at here for the YouTube crowd, folks in the chat on the live stream, this is a bloom board of the top 30 catchers by ADP over the last month in 15-team leagues. So that's where that average draft position, that ADP is coming from, and that's what this group is ordered by. And then we've got projections from Fangraph's depth charts projection system. So I've got batting average, home runs, and stolen bases alongside each player's ADP within the top 30. And it is color coded from obviously Oregon Duck green to Indiana Hoosier red, spirit of the CFP coming up for each category. So you can kind of quickly glance and see where some of these strengths, weaknesses, whatever cliffs lie throughout the position. This will be on the show graphic that I tweet out on Wednesday, December 17th, when this episode comes out. So, but that's what we're looking at for anyone watching the show.
And for those that are unfamiliar with our format for the previews, we'll discuss the top 10, and then we'll give a couple of our choices from 11 to 20 and 21 and beyond, and then take listener questions and kind of wrap up the position in that regards, because it should cover almost everything. Obviously, deep targets. Probably not going to hit on them here, but we've had that covered between Benched with Bubba and Bubba in the Bloom at some point in time. So you will have everything you need right there. We'll kick it off with the big dumper, Cal Raleigh. It's got an ADP of 19 over the last 30 days. We know the monster season. If it wasn't for Aaron Judge being a beast as well, Raleigh was the runaway MVP. He was the runner-up instead. Raleigh hit 60 homers, 110 runs, 125 RBIs, threw in 14 steals, hit 247. A little side note, OBP of 359 if you played in an OBP league, which is insane as well. He did everything you could dream of, but I'll say it flat out. It will take a miracle for me to have a Cal Raleigh share in a snake draft. Not saying I won't in an auction. In a snake draft, it'll be very difficult for me to take Cal Raleigh at this point in time.
And that's what I think the conversation needs to be, right? I obviously they don't pay us the big bucks to say Cal Raleigh is the number one catcher in 2026. No. The decision you need to make is, are you taking Cal Raleigh or are you taking Vlad Jr., Jackson Churio, Nick Kurtz, Kyle Tucker? Like that's the opportunity cost of that pick is for me a little bit too rich. So especially because you kind of need Cal Raleigh to hit over 40 home runs for this to work, because the batting average is not going to repeat. He's not going to hit 247 again. The projection that Fangraphs depth chart is showing is 230. That's right in line with what the forecaster is doing. So not only are you taking a catcher in the top 20, you're taking one with who is a batting average risk. And when your other options are those names I just said earlier, I think the opportunity cost is just too high for me to go on Cal Raleigh this year.
Yep. No, I fully agree there. It's a very, very tricky one to come across there. Like, I love the skill sets, but just have the season that he had, let alone in a position where every knick-knack can ruin things real quickly. Like, everybody that listens to our show should know how much I love King William. I didn't draft him last year. I said I wouldn't. He was a late second, early third.
I was going to say similar ADP, not quite this expensive, but similar ADP, and it seemed like a lock. Like that was that made sense. And yeah, he got hurt, but that's
the risk.
Life of the position. That's the risk. So
and that's why I said I just wasn't going to do it. I didn't. Is what it is. But I'm back in. I'm interested at least. I might have one share, if not two, but I'm much more in play with William Contreras this year. He was the second catcher off the board with an ADP of 54. Even with the broken finger, which he's had surgery on, he still hit 260 with 17 home runs, stole 6 bags. Like, the power was still pretty much in line with what he's done in the previous 3 seasons, give or take. The average was down a little bit, but the BABIP took a massive hit as well. We've talked about William a ton throughout last season, early this season. I'm back in. I know injuries can happen, but also you're not paying the premium for this guy. And unlike Raleigh, William is one of the best batting average catchers you can find. I think that was the argument people made last year of taking him early is, okay, if he plays a full season, we're going to get a good average, counting stats, toss in some steals. You can't find that at catcher, and I don't disagree. I think he's all of that. He's got to stay healthy, which is tricky, but I'm much more interested at this ADP, Ryan.
Yep, agreed. And I think you have to factor in that fractured finger early in the season. And I don't want to say throwaway is William Contreras' first half, but take it with a massive grain of salt. The power came right back in the second half. You mentioned the low BABIP, but also hit the ball pretty much just as hard and still had that kind of heavy ground ball tilt, which should lean to a higher BABIP. So yeah, William Contreras, man, I think he's easily my number 2 catcher. I think he's closer to Cal Raleigh than he is Ben Rice, who's the number 3 catcher 100%. Going 5 picks later. I think this is an awesome price to buy back in on William Contreras. I just did in my current NFBC 50, the 12-teamer that I'm currently drafting. So I think this is a really good price, a discount coming off a down year for William Contreras that I think will rebound. The last thing I'll add here is just, even with the health, last two years plate appearances, William Contreras 679 and 659. That's an absolute unicorn at the catcher position. Cal Raleigh had 700 plus last season. that's also what sets these two guys apart from the rest of the pack. And that's also just from a larger point when you're evaluating catchers, you need to look at some of these guys and how many games do they play at DH or first base in Ben Rice's case. But I think that's something you really need to look at and focus on is projected plate appearances for catcher, because that can really matter if these guys have additional avenues to playing time. So just want to throw that last part in. William Contreras is a volume king on top of everything else that he does.
Yeah, no, 1,000% agree. You don't have to convince me. I wore my Williams shirt at FPAS proudly. So
That's right.
I'm a big William Contreras
You didn't wear
fan.
your what about your Rengifo shirt? Did that make it?
Did not wear it this year. We were too busy wearing our swag the other 2 days, so I was kind of limited on my options there. But one last comment before we go on to the volume you mentioned. It makes a ton of sense as we go deeper into this for people. It'll be a lot clearer because we'll talk about guys that have very good skills, but they are held back by a platoon or a team has a DH in place, so on and so forth, and that will limit. Like that's always been my argument for Will Smith. Like that's always been my argument. Like I even came around last year and admitted I agree his skills are good, but if you look at it, like again, we'll get to that, but that's the argument to have for a lot of these guys that are farther down the list.
Yep.
Ben Rice, as you mentioned, the third off the board, ADP of 59. We differ a slight bit on our ranking there, not much. We're good there. But Ben Rice transitioned to first base. He'll be first base catcher, and this is what pushes him so high. We talked about it when we reviewed catchers, Ryan, Salvi, Wilson Contreras. Those guys, just the value that brought to the table. Now you got Ben Rice, who hit 26 home runs last year, hit 255 in his first real stint at the bigs. They kind of stopped platooning him later in the season. So that leads to the, I guess, expectations now. It's, okay, he's going to play first base every day. Hopefully he doesn't platoon. Now you're talking about accumulating, Ryan. I think the projections might be a little light on Ben Rice.
And that's what I think you can look at is look at that projected plate appearance. So I should probably have it on the Bloom board, honestly. If you bump that up, as you probably should, I think the points you just made, Bubba, are accurate because I mean this guy had 36 games last year at catcher, 50 at first base, and 48 at DH. He's going to play and play a ton. So that works in Ben Rice's favor. The interesting thing to me is just if we look at the board here, look at the Ben Rice, Shea Langoliers, Hunter Goodman, all pretty much have the exact same projection, pretty much hitting around 250 with upper 20s, pushing 30 home runs. Even Salvador Perez going 40 picks later, very similar projection. So there is, I think, a case that Ben Rice is if you kind of have a cluster of these guys, Ben Rice is probably going to be the most expensive of those guys. And do you want to always take the most expensive guy in each cluster? You have to really believe in Ben Rice, which you can. I mean, this guy is his age 27 season. You could argue there's an even further step forward in place for Ben Rice. So I get the ADP. I'm probably not buying. Like I'm probably taking Salvador Perez instead, but I fully get why Ben Rice is the number 3 catcher by ADP. It makes sense.
Yeah, and I'm curious, like if we do this in March per se, because we always do our reviews and our pockets of ADP, and we'll be using Fab ADP. Will he be going this high? Is he getting the extra boost as its first base catcher? I think he'll still go that high in Fab. I think he will.
I think so.
But be curious to see if he's getting an extra push because of that playing time that we've been talking about. Again, I think it'll stay pretty much in line, but I like that one quite a bit. Shea Langoliers, the 4th catcher off the board, ADP of 60. Bangoliers, as he's commonly known as, hit 31 homers, which is just 2 more than the previous season, but he hit 277. At the same time, he had fewer RBIs, which is a bit surprising. Scored a bunch more runs. He had a great season. I'm just trying to pick apart a few things. Also played fewer games than he had the previous 3 seasons. What's your thoughts on Bangoliers? Because he's a guy that I like a lot, but I'm not sure I can take the risk this year at this price point on poor man's Cal Raleigh.
Yeah, the interesting thing with Langoliers, and you can look at just 2025 in a vacuum. That's naturally what we want to do and see that 277 batting average. Bubba, the prior 2 years, it was 205 and 224.
Oh, it's horrible.
So like it was not good. And yes, you can argue that Shea Langoliers, made some legitimate skill gains last year, especially cutting down the strikeout rate. Like it goes back to that. It's a tough player to evaluate. It's you've got one really good year supported by the skills, But then you've got the previous 2 years. Like Langoliers has always had good power. It's just, is this batting average going to be 220 or is it going to be 260 again? And I don't know that for me to have that, I guess, question in my head at ADP of 60 is a little rich for my blood. The glass half full is this is a guy who's age 28, pretty much just developing into his own in the major league level. Great park, did make strikeout gains without really sacrificing the power in 2025. And you could argue, just like you could with Ben Rice, that there could even be another step forward. Maybe not in terms of like improving on a 277 batting average, but in that park, could he go mid 30s and hit 260 again? Absolutely. It's the 2 years prior for me for Shango Langoliers that has me a little bit skeptical.
Yeah, I agree. I think the skills are amazing, but can he duplicate? And unlike some of these other guys we talked about, the A's could change things up, but Rooker pretty much still plays DH. So they have like
Yeah,
their fair share of outfielders. I'm not saying they can't like once a week change that. It's very feasible, but it's something to keep in the back of your mind, I guess, is it's not like a given like it would be with
true.
some of these other guys.
It was only 16 DH games last year. So to your point, it was less than one start a week at DH for Langoliers. So he's not getting that additional boost like a Rice, a Contreras, or a Cal Raleigh's getting in terms of playing time.
Hunter Goodman is the fifth catcher off the board, ADP of 74. Goodman was a good man last year, hitting 31 home runs, driving in 91, hit 270. Like he was the number 2 catcher essentially in fantasy baseball. Absolutely amazing. He's one of those where I believe a lot of it. I know there's always skepticism when a guy just bursts out that much. But I was in on him last year, to be totally honest. Like I was excited about what we saw last year, and I know he overachieved, so like the batting average maybe isn't there, but I'll let you have the floor on this one. He's a guy I haven't drafted yet, so like I shouldn't say I'm a full believer, I guess.
Yeah, I haven't either. Again, I mean, this is similar, exact same projection as Rice and Langoliers. It's just for me, the team context is what sets me back on Hunter Goodman. I don't know, like compared to the Yankees, compared to Sacramento. Yes, Coors is great, but I feel like Hunter Goodman's power plays anywhere, and just that team context, especially on the road for the Rockies, could be some rough weeks there. So I don't know. This is more like a gut feel type thing for me with Hunter Goodman, but the same questions that I brought with Langoliers applies to Goodman. I mean, this guy has been a batting average drain until 2025 and still 26 years old, of course. So a lot can improve, but I don't know. Like I don't have any Rice. I don't have any Langoliers. I don't have any Hunter Goodman. For me, there's too many questions with those three guys in terms of track record to spend a top 75 pick on. Maybe I'm being too picky. I don't know, but
well, obviously you're not because you're not picking them. But yeah, that was tough. But
not bad.
Like the thing with these guys, like you can make the argument they're massive ceiling plays, but their floors are basement level, which makes it tricky at that point in the draft. The other reason I don't have a lot of shares of these guys is the sixth outfielder off the board.
Yes, agreed.
Off the board. ADP of 78. The man we like to call Goose in this neck of the woods, Agustin Ramirez. This man I was ecstatic for last season. I went out and said he's a top 5 or like top 10 catcher the rest of the way if they let him play. In 136 games, Goose, 21 homers, 16 stolen bases. He only hit 231, which really is surprising because he actually usually hits for a respectable average wherever he goes. Struck out less than 20%. Like in his first run at 23 years old, I was thoroughly happy with pretty much everything we saw from Goose. And the other reason I have a lot of Goose shares, if you look at this chart that Ryan put out here, it's the darkest Oregon Duck green projection at stolen base you will find at the catching position. So I legit think this is a guy, if he could run hot, because he will DH a lot and potentially even play first base, he'll get tons of plate appearances. We could be seeing like a 25-15 or better catcher, which is the old JTR profile minus a little bit of batting average.
It is. It absolutely is. And actually, the interesting thing is this 13 stolen base projection. I'm taking the over on that. I mean, Goose stole 15 in the second half last year.
Yep.
and that was all in the majors. So you could argue I would say the stolen base total goes closer to 20 than it is 13.
Yep.
So I like everything about the Goose. That's also why I full agree. That's also why I'm not getting Rice, Langoliers, and Hunter Goodman in drafts right now. I just like the Goose better. What you give up in maybe 7-8 home runs, you get potentially 20 more steals and the same batting average. I like that a lot. Now, Goose hit 212 in the second half last year. I think we have to at least acknowledge that. But the plate skills were fine. It was a super low BABIP. The contact quality is good, and he runs like hell. He's going to play a ton. This is a guy who's not a good catcher in real life, but in fantasy, that's actually a good thing for your fantasy value because I think the Goose is going to play a ton.
Yep, DH, first base, play the return, get the return of the Mac behind the plate, and we went all across the board in this one. Like it's a perfect storm on this one. So yeah, we'll see where that one pans out. All righty, let's head to the 7th catcher off the board, the reigning, defending National League Rookie of the Year, Drake Baldwin, ADP of 92 over the last month. Drake Baldwin played in 124 games last year, which is pretty good. 19 homers, 80 RBIs at 274. What are your thoughts on Mr. Baldwin, who looks like he has one heck of a hit tool, but does he have it? Will the power sustain? There's lots of questions, I guess, with Baldwin, but some people are quite optimistic on him.
And I am one of them. I think the hit tool is going to carry a very strong batting average. I think this might be outside of like your batting average only guys, this might be the best batting average with power that you're going to get at catcher outside of William Contreras. He hits the ball hard. The hit tool is good. And for me, it's just a launch angle thing. It was a 48% ground ball rate for Drake Baldwin last year. But even with that, I mean, he had 19 homers and 446 plate appearances. I mean, you do that over a full season, you're starting to get close to mid-20s, which is right where Rice, Langoliers, Goodman are almost projected for. So I think you're getting close to the same amount of power with a much better batting average at a cheaper price with Drake Baldwin at 92 versus that. I hate to keep kind of dissing on Rice, Langoliers, Goodman, but that's kind of the bar when you're trying to look at catcher and say, where are the pockets? Where are the spots I want to pick and choose where I want to grab my first catcher? I think that comes into play. I think the price is cheaper, and I think you're getting pretty much the same quality of player. You're not getting as many homers, but you're getting a better batting average. My projections, not my projections, the projections that I'm using have Drake Baldwin coming out the same essentially as Rice, Goodman, and the Goose. So it's just a different shape for those stats.
I like it. I like it a lot. All right, let's go to the 8th catcher off the board, the just ageless wonder, Salvador Perez, ADP of 102. Salvi continues to cook, is the way I'll say it. He just gets it done time and time again. Last season, he once again played in 155 games, back-to-back years, 30 home runs, yet again, 100 RBIs, yet again, hit 235, which that was quite low compared to what we're used to from Salvi. But overall, dude's a productive machine. You wonder when the 36-year-old slows down, but for now, it's good. The one last thing I'll mention before letting you have the floor is my only trepidation besides the age with Salvi is the last couple of years he gets a lot of extra playing time playing first base when Vinny P gets hurt, or he DHs when a DH gets hurt. It's never it hasn't been like a locked in situation for Salvi. Usually someone has to get hurt or like Cags gets back to AAA or something. Like there has to be something that takes place to move him off a catcher is what I'm trying to say. So,
I mean, couldn't they just DH him more? I mean, who's their
They
DH?
should. They should. I would like to see that, but the last few years they haven't like opened up with that. It's always been Fermin backing him up. Then they finally called Carter Jansen up when Salvi did go play a ton of DH this past year. So in a perfect world, yes, I agree with you. Right now they have Jonathan India penciled into DH. I don't think that's a great idea. We've had that discussion with Carter Jansen, but like the Royals need to come out and say, hey, Salvi is going to like DH more than he's going to catch. They have not come out and said that yet.
Yeah, I guess. I mean, he also does have over 630 plate appearances in 3 of the last 5 seasons. Again, to your point, there have been there have been injuries to Kansas City that have helped facilitate that. But that's not really a worry for me. This is another, in my opinion, great buy. This is a Ben Rice, Langoliers, Goodman that you're getting 40 picks later. Basically the same projection. Yes, he's older, age 36 season for Salvador Perez, but hey, in my eyes, fountain of youth, man. I think Salvador Perez is an excellent buy at 102. And the other thing I would add, I think there's you'll probably like to hear this. I don't know if you agree with it or not. I think there's a big drop off after this. I think there's a clear top 8 at catcher, ending with Salvador Perez and starting with Will Smith, our next guy. I don't know if you agree with that, but I do think there's a clear top 8 at the position where if you want to go early and get a really good catcher, you've got to do it within the first 100 picks, because Salvador Perez, I think, is the end of that at pick 102.
Yeah, I'm willing to go Yainer Diaz in that conversation. We'll get to him in a minute, but
yeah, okay, yeah, we'll talk about it.
He's close. He's on the edge. I understand why you wouldn't be, but we'll start with your guy first. The 9th catcher off the board with an ADP of 109, Will Smith. This last year, he hit 296, which is awesome. There's no denying that whatsoever. 17 homers, but 64 runs, 61 RBIs, 110 games. He hasn't played over 137 games since 2022. It's just he hasn't had 600 plate appearances in his entire career. There's a lot of downfalls to being an elite catcher on an elite team, and Dalton rushing is knocking on the door. People are really wanting to see him play. I don't blame them. So, what's your thoughts on Will Smith this year?
Yeah, I mean, the biggest thing is the lack of volume. And where's Will Smith going to play when you've got Ohtani at DH? I don't even know if Will Smith has ever tried first base. That didn't even seem to be a thought in their mind when Freddie was slipping in the shower at first base last year. So I mean, I think Will Smith at the price at 109 is fine. It's just, it's that lack of volume. I think this is the first step where you get a clear-cut drop in volume. And to be quite honest, he's not going to hit 296 again. Probably not going to hit over 20 homers. Yes, the runs and RBI, I think, are going to be really good with that lineup when he is in. But this is someone who I think is capped from a volume standpoint. And the skills are good, but they're not great to overcome that.
Yep, agreed. I think the skills are good. I think it's a profile you can get 50, 60, 100 picks later and get similar playing time and see where it goes from there. And we will talk about some of those players as we go through this. But the final in the top 10 here, the 10th catcher off the board is Yainer Diaz, ADP of 117. It was a rough year, but still finished okay, hit 256. You draft Yainer because you want him to hit higher. That's the reality of the situation. But it was a very slow start for Yainer Diaz. Still hit his 20 home runs, which you want to see. I still think he's very good. He's still got a ton of plate appearances. He's still super young. There's the question of they don't want him to DH this year, so that is a little bit of a hindrance. He had 25 DH games this last year. We'll wait and see when that happens because that requires Yordan Alvarez to stay healthy. Yeah. So that we know how that story goes. I still think Yainer is very good. If he can get you 130 plus games, he's got you over 140 back-to-back years. I think he can hit 20 plus homers and hit for average and the counting stats that come with that.
Do you like Yainer over Will Smith?
100%.
Wow, 100%. Damn.
Yeah, I do it every time.
Okay, I think they're close. And this is kind of another mini tier, this 9 and 10 for me, Will Smith and Yainer Diaz. I think there's actually a big drop off after this.
Yes.
After the top 10. So again, to kind of macro level this thing, a really clear for me top 8, and then 9 and 10 you can live with as a decent catcher 1. After that, there are questions in the player pool. So my biggest thing, is similar to Will Smith. I don't know if the plate appearances are going to be there for Yainer Diaz. I just think with Yordan, God, we made that same slip with Yordan, probably DHing full-time, most of full-time. I just don't see Yainer Diaz getting a ton of plate appearances. So, and then that drags everything else down. But on a per plate appearance basis, I feel like this is something similar to Will Smith, better batting average, but Will Smith has the better team context. All kind of comes out on the wash. I don't have a kind of a clear ranking between Will Smith and Yainer Diaz, but I both think they're properly priced here.
Yeah, I think they're fairly priced. I looked at our rankings that'll be coming out in a week or so that We have the same guys in the top 8, just different orders for it. And then we both have Yiner at 10. I have Will at 11. You have Will at 9. So it's pretty similar. And then things get rocky after this for the both of us.
Yeah.
So like the top 10 or so are pretty much in line. The rest of it gets quite interesting. So let's give our picks 11 through 20. It goes Sammy Basayo at ADP 163. Adley Rushman going right behind him, ironically enough. Alejandro Kirk, Gabriel Moreno, Francisco Alvarez, Kyle Teal, Carter Jensen, Dylan Dangler, JT Realmuto, Austin Wells at 236. So from 163 to 236, about 70 picks. We have catchers 11 through 20. So Ryan, kick us off. Who is one of your picks 11 through 20?
Yeah, so I'm just trying to find someone who's going this late that I think could ascend into this next group for 2027. For me, that's Francisco Alvarez. I just think, dude, it's like the unluckiest. Like if this guy goes to Vegas, he leaves broke, 100%. This is the unluckiest baseball player I think I have ever seen. Last year it was a fractured hamate bone. Then was sent down, then sprained his thumb. I think multiple injuries during his rehab as well. I think Francisco Alvarez, what we've seen from him in the majors, which isn't much, and that's why the price is cheap at 182. I think you've got burgeoning 30 home run power here with a 250-ish batting average, and that is exactly what Ben Rice, Shea Langoliers, and Hunter Goodman are projected for. I think Francisco Alvarez just needs to not get a broken appendage, and he can get there. And I think at a 182 price, I think that makes, for me, Francisco Alvarez a good buy. And despite the leaving of Pete Alonso, I still think that's a really good Mets lineup, depending on where Francisco Alvarez hits in the order.
Yeah, I like this pick a lot. I was debating putting him in, but then you picked him, which is totally fine because I just wanted to make sure we talked about him. I think he's a better batting average asset than people think at the position.
Okay.
He's still extremely young. The power is legit as it can be. So it's just a combination of things, like you said. If he can stay healthy and put a season together, like the improvements we saw last year were really good. I feel like he went up to a 54% hard hit rate, which was tremendous for a guy that already has a ton of power, but is another level to him. So yeah, I'm with you. I think between the age, the development, and now stay healthy, like we could see a Langoliers type season out of him. I think if he can put the whole season together. I'm a big take a chance. If you want to take a chance on a guy for power at the position later, I think it's a very good one to take.
And would you so a lot of projection systems are going to have Francisco Alvarez down in plate appearance because he's never attained it before. I don't really strike that against him. I think these are just fluky things that I think we can assume full playing time for the guy.
He should. There's nobody else on that roster
Nobody
that has that bats at catcher. Nobody. It's not like we're talking the Braves or we're talking a lot of these other teams. There's nobody. Dalton Rushing's a bigger problem for Will Smith than anybody on the Mets roster for Francisco Alvarez. So I'm with you. This is a guy that should play 130 to 140 plus games if he can stay healthy. That's a big if. I agree that people's concerns, but to your point, a lot of them were fluky injuries, man.
I don't even know if it's that's the thing. I don't even know if it's a big if. These are fluky injuries. He ended the season healthy. It's not like his bones are more brittle than.
I just say it because you and I have both been the kind of guys you got to prove it to us type thing. So if people hold to their guns there, he hasn't proven it. He just hasn't. That's the reality of the situation.
Fair. Yep.
But he's still pretty dang good, and I think he is one of those guys that I'm willing to, especially in a draft and hold where you're going to draft 3-4 catchers. I like taking a Francisco Alvarez to try and see, just build behind it type thing and see where it goes. All right, for me, is a guy that I've taken a ton of so far. Going through my player shares, we're talking almost half my drafts already. I have Kyle Teal as my almost catcher one if I have to wait, preferably catcher two. But if I'm playing this game, it's catcher one. I love everything about Kyle Teal. He's super young, big time prospect. Finally got to play in the bigs this past year. 8 homers, 3 steals at 273. The average stands out. He walked 12.5%. Yeah, he struck out 25%. That's not ideal. This is a guy throughout the minors. He's giving you 10 to 15 homers. He's got double-digit steal upside. I like to refer to him as a poor man's goose. You might not get all the power, but you're going to get some speed. probably a better batting average than Goose. Like I like the pairing of the two. Like I think if you paired a Teal and a Goose, you can get about 35 stolen bases potentially.
A
Like yeah,
teal
we
and
got
a
the two
goose is
birds,
a duck
the
and a
two
goose.
birds. Yeah, we're bird. So yeah, if you're gonna go duck hunting, here you go. Um, I'm a big Kyle Teal fan. He's projected 248, 13 and 6. I think that's a little calm. I know people are worried about Edgar Caro. They kept playing Teal even when Caro was around. Caro DH'd. He played at second base. Like he was all over the diamond. So I like Kyle Teal a lot, especially as a catcher too. But I think he has catcher one upside.
All right. Yeah, I was going to bring up Garrow as a devil's advocate kind of play, but yeah, I think Teal's going to play 14 DH games to 61 catcher games. I think the White Sox are just going to get that bat in the lineup regularly, so I like that. Baseball Forecaster threw an upside of 20 homers and 15 steals on Kyle Teal.
Yep.
That was a Stephen Nick Grand write-up. So very sharp dude who agrees with you there. So I like that. I like that pick. And at 190, yeah, projections aren't going to look good for someone like Teal, but I think he's better than that. So agreed.
Yep, the Teal is a beautiful duck. So hopefully he's a beautiful catcher this year. Who's your second one? Because you have two down here, and so I'm wondering where you're going with this one.
So this is just a discussion. I don't like either of these guys, but they're on the same team and they're one pick apart. It's Samuel Basallo and Adley Rutschman. I just think it's fascinating that these two guys are one pick apart. We are very far apart on Samuel Basallo. You have him 13th in your early rankings. I have him 19th. I just think I'm trying to think of the phrase, but I can't. I just don't know. Between you got those two guys there, like, is there enough playing time between Basallo and Rutschman to warrant either one of them getting picked at 160 when you have an Alvarez and Teal going 30 picks later?
It comes down to, do you believe Orioles chatter where they say they want Basallo to be the primary guy? There's rumors that Adley could be shopped. These are things that come into play. The way I look at the two, and Ben and I actually debated them a couple episodes. I mentioned Bubba a couple episodes ago. Yep. And I did it because they're teammates right next to for this whole question you just had. I know we have a listener question, this exact question. To me, it comes down to Basallo's ceiling. This is the Francisco Alvarez profile. It's a 30 home run guy, hits 2-4. Like they are, Basallo and Alvarez are very, very similar, I believe. And Basallo,
except Basallo has had 118 plate appearances in the majors his whole career.
I'm saying the profile. The profile is very, very similar. So it's like, if you believe he can do it this year and find that, yes, I think he is a very, very live spot here. I have 0 shares of Samuel Basallo. I literally stared at him for 2 rounds in my recent draft and still passed and went and took Kyle Teal later in this situation. The Rutschman argument is, I think he's a floor play. I don't think we're ever going to see the power. I've been anti-Adley since you've known me pretty much. I think he can maybe hit for an okay average, but I just don't think we're going to see the Adley of old. I could be totally wrong. I think the playing time will be better for Basallo. Could be totally wrong. I think there's smart people on both sides of this fence is the way I'll put this argument. It's like you got to plant your flag and run with it is the way I see it.
For me, it's a double fade. I'm fading Rutschman for the reasons that you are, and I'm fading Basallo because at a pick of 163, I'm not taking a guy who has, in my opinion, playing time questions and skills questions in the major league level, just because he hasn't had the opportunity to show us those skills in the majors. Basallo has. So both of those guys for me, just wanted to bring them up, are fades. Unless now if one gets traded or something, whatever, that could change. But I just don't know if there's enough balls in the court. I don't know. Terrible reference to go around there. So
I was going to add on to that, but I'll stop. And to your earlier comment about that, like, I believe that Alvarez and Basallo have similar profiles, so I'll take Alvarez 20 picks later. Like, that's just
there you go.
Go
and who has the job, and we know has the job.
Yes. So, like, I think Basallo can be very, very good, but to your point, we haven't seen it. And the playing time is a question. So it's a valid thing. I think it's a combination of people love the shiny new toys. Like, we saw how much money he was going for. Like, people love the shiny new toys. So
I mean, man, I'm going to Goodwill and dragging those old things back out. Ask my
All right.
kids.
Yes. I was like, willpower right now, my friend. Willpower for me on this one. Um, for me, talk shiny new toys here, but we're talking ADP of 210 on this one. I'm going to go with Carter Jensen here. And there's a couple reasons for this. And the playing time is very much in question, to your point. But I think you kind of said part of it when you talk Salvi, like, why can't they make him the DH? If they make Salvi the DH, then Carter Jensen should not be the 20 or the 17th catcher off the board. His skill set, I take him over. Well, I think I'd take him over Sammy Basayo.
That's where I was going to
Personally.
go with. That's
Yes,
where I was
I
going to
think I
press you.
would.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think I would because
Okay.
I like him a lot. If you look at our rankings, I like him a lot. I think the batting average tool is legit as it gets. Like we're looking at a William Contreras, maybe better with Carter Jensen. The power, it's been developing. He's 21 years. He's gonna be 22. He's super young, and he got 20 games under his belt, 89 plate appearances last year, and it didn't fault him. Hit 300, 3 homers, struck out 17.4% and walked 13% for 21 years old. That is outstanding. That is elite stuff. Could he take a step back? Sure. Is it a small sample size? 100%. But this is a guy that I think the skills are ridiculous. I think he's going to be very, very good. And it's one of those that, yeah, you're taking a risk on playing time if you're drafting right now. But I would be willing to wager if, say, February, when pitchers and catchers report, or March, and they flat out they go out and say Salvi's our DH and Carter Jensen plays catcher. Where do you think Carter Jensen's ADP ends up now? Like we're talking, he's probably behind Yainer Diaz in my mind. Like he's that darn good. Like I love Carter Jensen.
Wow.
I may be overly optimistic. He's got to get the playing time to make it work. I understand the backlash; it's going to be screaming across from people. But if he gets the playing time, I like him the way I like Goose better. But the way I stood up for Goose last year, I will feel the same about Carter. He's a better, like just pure hitter than most catchers on this entire board.
Damn. Okay. Interesting to see Carter Jensen with the basically same exact projection as my guy, old man JT Real Muto. Similar projection, but much higher ceiling for Jensen, much higher floor for JTR. It's a
and
floor
we know how
play.
projections treat young players. So
yes, we do. Yeah, I'm not going to push back too hard on Carter Jensen. I agree with you. I would rather take the shot on Jensen at 210 than I would Basayo or Rutschman at 160.
Bingo. So, and then just draft accordingly. That's the beauty of the DCs right now. You need multiple catchers. Like take your dart and then see where it goes from there. All right, 21 through 30, we got Tyler Stevenson, Logan O'Hoppe, Ryan Jeffers, Carlos Narvaez, Carson Kelly, Edgar Caro, Bo Naylor, Sean Murphy, Dalton Rushing, Kyber Ruiz, ADP 241 through 389. Ryan, who is one you're targeting here?
I am targeting Logan O'Hoppe. I think, again, this is the theme of the episode. I don't want to bag on Rice, Langoliers, and Goodman, but look at the strikeout rates and barrel rates for Logan O'Hoppe and compare that to at pick 243 and compare that to Ben Rice, Langoliers, and Goodman. Yep. I'm not saying Logan O'Hoppe's as good as those guys. Logan O'Hoppe's never hit over 20 home runs in a season. Health has been a major issue for O'Hoppe, whereas those other three guys, they are volume studs, and that's why they are being drafted much, much higher. But if you're looking at me and you want to take a heavy power bat that's going very cheap at 243, it's Logan O'Hoppe for me. I really like that buy. And again, from a skill standpoint, I don't think he's very much far off of guys going in the top 100 at catcher right now.
Yeah, I love the ADP. Does surprise me. He's been a very popular catcher 3 for me, and maybe even a catcher 2 in one draft, because I'm still a believer. Like he's had some injuries, yeah, that happens at catcher, but it's still one of those, like if he can just stay healthy, give even 120 games at that ADP, that's going to be a heck of a stat line. Like TDK mentioned, a Goose and O'Hoppe is a great pair at their prices. I full-heartedly agree.
Cosign, sure.
Yep, tons of power. You get your speed. Like you get a ton to do to the combo of them. A lot to like there. And still with Goose, hopefully hitting for a decent average, it pairs out really well between the two. So I like that play quite a bit. I'm going to go back to Bo Naylor. I'm not going to talk a ton here just because we talked about him a lot on the recap show. But the way he improved towards the end of the season, I'm going to continue to believe that this young ball player who will be 26 this year is still getting better. He hit 14 home runs this last year. He hit 195. Yeah, that's horrific. We have established that. We also established how well he played in the final month of the year. Where he played pretty much every day. Um, and it's just baby steps. It's taking a chance on a catcher 3 at an ADP of 350. It's a guy that should still be the primary catcher in Cleveland. Like they haven't projected for 120 games. That's fair. He's played 123 and 123 back-to-back years. So like that's in the wheelhouse. But they also have projected for 18 home runs, hitting 220. Like there are baby steps to be had with Bo Naylor. He increases barrel rate, he increases hard hit rate, he increases max EV. Like all the things you want to see. Is he perfect? No, but he's young, and I think the profile can continue to improve. And at ADP 350, I am 100% willing to take a chance on that.
All right, yeah, I like that and that's catcher 27.
Yeah.
Off the board, so that's when you're struggling to just get your second catcher. If you're in deep trouble, that Bo Naylor could be that lifesaver for you. So I get that. I'm going to go Tyler Stevenson at pick 241. Interestingly enough, going right next to Logan O'Hoppe. So I like both of those guys as second catcher plays. Hell, maybe even a double tap. If you
I don't hate it.
Totally punt catcher, I don't know. I wouldn't advise that, but
if you punt, it's not the worst. Really isn't.
Yeah. I just think with Tyler Stevenson, this is you grant him a mulligan for an injury-marred 2025 season, and you're looking at the 2023 through 24 version of Tyler Stevenson, who pretty much hit 250 with like an average of 17 home runs. And I think if you can get that version of Tyler Stevenson at an ADP of 240, I think you're cooking with gas there. So again, a risk that the 2025 version of Tyler Stevenson is there, and the injuries have piled up for Stevenson over the years, so the volume is probably not going to be there. That's why the price is low. But age 29 season, I think it's a little bit premature to be writing off Tyler Stevenson. I think there's still something there.
Yep. He's been a popular catcher too for me in recent seasons, so I got no problem taking him at this point. If you punt or go early 3, which has been kind of a trend of mine to get an early 3 and not have to worry about that situation, because I had so many zeros at catcher last year by trying to be cute about certain things. I'd rather like again, injuries can ruin the philosophy here, but
especially,
cool.
But if you take an early Ben Rice or Hunter Goodman or Sal Perez, Goose probably qualifies at first at some point. You go early third catcher, you can use, and you probably will use, I made this point before, that third catcher at first base, corner, utility at some point in a draft and hold.
100%. So that's kind of been where my brain's been going early on in drafts, and that's why I'm taking the boring guy, a guy that many think's going to lose his job because Harry Ford is a Washington National now, but I'll continue to play on my Kyber Ruiz flag. His ADP is 389. 389 for a 27-year-old that like 3 years ago was traded and hit 18 home runs and hit 260 at the age of 24 in 136 games. Then we forget 2024, he had that nasty virus that made him lose 30-something pounds. He never bounced back. He was swinging it well before that, never bounced back. Last year, he had a severe concussion that made him miss a ton of games. Reportedly healthy right now. I don't see how he can't still be the primary catcher in Washington. Like Harry Ford can DH. He was playing outfield in the minor leagues. Like they can move him around. They could have Kyber DH to help keep him healthy. Like there's a lot of ways this could work between the two. And at the ADP of 389, this is still a guy that we used to think was one of the best pure hitters. We used to compare him to Alejandro Kirk, and Alejandro Kirk is going much earlier in drafts. So it's like Kirk's ADP is 165, Ruiz is 389. Now, yes, Kirk did it last year. He stayed healthy. I'm not going to argue taking him a better Ruiz, but the fact we're just pushing Ruiz away, I don't get it all. I don't. And at 389, I'm fine being wrong on that. I'll take that all day. So he's like, I have him as a catcher 3 in at least 4 of my leagues already. I've drafted 9 drafts. So I'm very much on board with Kyber Ruiz.
Yeah, I think the biggest thing, if it doesn't work out, because it may not, you're basically granting him 2 mulligans in a row for the last 2 seasons, like you said. And again,
but if you're granting Francisco Alvarez mulligans for his injuries, what are we doing?
Yeah, I guess. But Francisco Alvarez has been good when he's been on the field. Ruiz hasn't.
It was Kyber 2 years ago. He was fine. And before his injuries, both
2 years ago, he was fine, but he hasn't been good.
Before his injuries, the last 2 years, he's been fine.
Yes, agreed. But he hasn't been good for 2 years. But anyway, yeah, I know. I mean, I agree with you. I think Ruiz. I think catcher 3. I would be very nervous to count on Ruiz as a
Oh,
second
I would
catcher.
not make him my catcher 2, not a chance. Yeah, we have a question on catcher 1 and catcher 2. Where our drop offs are. We'll get to that in the listener questions. But before we get to those, Ryan, what are your kind of final thought? Like I'm going to say final thoughts till after questions because we're going to
Okay.
probably say a lot of things
Yeah.
throughout the questions here. And kudos to the Discord. They didn't screw me over on this one. It's pretty straightforward on the. Ryan must have been on dad duty tonight to not have fun with this one. But we'll start with Steve Brunn. He says, Basayo or Adley, I'm sure you guys will cover this. Interesting with them going back to back. Yeah, we pretty much aren't drafting either one, is what it comes down to. But,
D. None of the above.
Martin Sikulski says, I really love that little pocket from Teal to Ohapi. I think we kind of agree on that.
Agreed.
I
And
kind
I
of
would.
even mentioned Dingler. Dingler's a popular pick for me right now, too.
Yeah, so that pocket is Kyle Teal. I'd even extend the pocket up to Alvarez, Francisco Alvarez, of course,
That's
at
fair.
182. But that
Yeah.
Teal that Martin, or that pocket that Martin refers to that starts with Teal is Teal at 190, Carter Jensen, your guy at 210, JTR, Dingler, Austin Wells, Tyler Stevenson, Logan O'Hoppe. Like we
Yep.
half of those guys are targets we just mentioned. So I
Yep.
think
I
that's a
like all
really
those.
good
Yeah.
place, yeah, to get your second catcher. I think there's enough there where you have enough options there where even if you get sniped on one or two, I think if you're mapping out a draft plan, I think catcher 2 around pick 200-ish can work.
And if you punt catcher, I can live with two guys there, because, especially in a redraft league where there's always catchers that'll become
Yeah.
available. You can stream a catcher too. Like I could live in that world in a fab league if you have to, because if you do the whole quote unquote opportunity cost of an early catcher, and then you go back to these guys later on, I don't really mind that at all. Like I think you can be just fine in this world.
Agree.
Um, Martin says, I feel like there's really good value to be had there. What guy are you most likely to grab in that group? Any obvious fades? We pretty much like them all. So I
Pretty
guess
much like them all.
what's your number one in that range? Because you
Um,
mentioned two and I mentioned two. So what's your
you
number one?
you sold me on Teal more than you did Carter Jensen, so I'll say Kyle Teal.
Yeah, Teal's my number one. Like I've already been going out there drafting him. Like Jensen, I like. I think I have a share. I am cautious to the playing time, but it's one of those that I will be a sucker if he gets playing time. I will pay the price and take him earlier. I think he's that good. Dustin Anderson says likelihood that the Goose meets or exceeds his stolen bases. I think we both say exceed.
Exceeds that stolen base projection of 13. I think the Goose exceeds that.
BP says the projections for Carter Jensen are not great. They rarely are for young players, but I think he's in a good spot to crush these projections. Do you agree? AL Rookie of the Year candidate? I fully endorse that.
I'm less of an endorsement, but I can see it. I can see it. It's just a couple things need to happen.
Agreed. SMK Teach says first, is the ADP based on 12 or 15s? 15s.
Yep.
And then second, he says, how drastically does the ADP change if it's a two catcher league? Good question.
Yeah. So we've been focusing mostly on 2-catcher league. If you are in a 1-catcher league, I still think there's one of two things you could do. You could get that solid top 8 and pay a price for it. You could wait a little bit for a Will Smith, Yiner Diaz at 9-10. If you don't do that, just wait till the end and grab your one catcher. If you're in a 12 team, hell, even in a 15 team 1-catcher league, I think you can wait. So that's typically what I say for 1-catcher leagues anyway, is to just kind of wait and see what falls. But I do think there's enough of a drop off in that top 10 that in single catcher leagues, it still probably pays off to pay up for one of those top 10.
Yeah, I'm with you. I either go elite or I punt. It's pretty much. I don't play middle ground if I don't have to. Especially in a one catcher league, and even in a 15, as you said, there's so much on the waiver wire that you
Yeah.
can play the game if you punt the position. Nails says, been some rumblings of White Sox being open to moving Teal in that instance. How high up does Caro move for you both? I'm curious to hear your answer on this one.
How high would Edgar Caro move up?
Mm-hmm.
I was not that impressed with Caro last year. Like I would still, he would not move up. But so like he's right now, Caro's below Carson Kelly, Carlos Narvaez, Ryan Jeffers. I'd probably move him up against over Narvaez and Carson Kelly, but not Ohapi and Stevenson, who I really like. So no, I wouldn't move up Caro that much.
Yeah, I wouldn't either. He's a poor man's. Like he's closer to Kyber Ruiz Like if he goes all, like everything works out. I think Carroll can hit for average, but there's not a lot of pop at all. So
Yeah.
really
Yeah.
not doing much for you in that regard.
Yep.
Mailman Mike says, I'm seeing some differing opinions on Francisco Alvarez right now. Are you buying or selling? What's the data say? He's your guy.
He's my guy. So I'm obviously buying Francisco Alvarez. I think
Yeah, I'm with you.
yeah, I'm not going to restate the reasons, but yeah, I'm in. I'm in for
Yep,
sure.
I wrote him. I wrote him up really glowingly. I think in both articles I wrote so far. So very excited about him. Any FOMO guys this year for you both?
I mean, I guess we won't know until yes, there will be FOMO guys.
That's almost a final podcast of draft season. We do
Yeah,
our
like I could see
FOMO.
myself if FOMO like early FOMO. I could see my guys I like that I'm just not going to draft because I like players going after them. It might be Rice, Langoliers, Goodman. I like them. I just like.
I'm gonna get you a
Every
T-shirt.
answer,
This
yeah.
Rice Langoliers go in the team
Law
colors. Their
firm,
names will be
law
on there.
firm.
Like
Yeah.
that's your team, the law firm, the catching
They
law firm of Rice Langoliers and Goodman.
they may be
Actually,
FOMO
smart.
because I think they're good. I'm always gonna take Goose, Baldwin, Salvador Perez going right after them cheaper. So
Yep, I agree. Like, yeah, I don't have any FOMOs just yet because I spread out that back range for the most part of the catcher too. In reality, it's probably either going to be Carter Jensen or Samuel Basallo if one of the rookies takes off. That'll be a FOMO for me, but I won't know until later. So it's pretty tough because I'm pretty hard set on my catcher. Where I'm targeting, I'm pretty locked in on. I guess the obvious answer is if Cal Raleigh goes nuts again, we'll both be having tons of FOMO because we're not going to draft him.
I know. Well,
So
that's true. That is true. Cal
that's
Raleigh
probably the
could
one.
repeat what he did last year, and it's like, what are we thinking?
Yep. He has one more. How deep on the list are you comfortable taking your catcher one?
Top 10. Top
So
10.
yeah, I'm with you there. Where's your catcher two cutoff?
My catcher two. So top 10 would
Oh.
be like the top 110 picks, ending with Will Smith and Yiner Diaz. My comfortable second catcher cutoff would be Logan O'Hoppe at 243, and I would pay extra for Teal or Francisco Alvarez in kind of 175 range for my catcher two.
Yeah, and it's a good point you make because in drafts where I don't take an early catcher, where Teal is my number one, which I've mentioned before, I have pushed him up a couple rounds because I want to make sure I get him as my catcher one. So
yeah,
it's a good point you make right there. Lang says you've waited on catcher in your DC. Who is your favorite pick after O'Hoppe is gone?
Who after O'Hoppe is gone?
It's Kyber Ruiz for me.
Good hell, you're screwed.
Yeah, it's not pretty. If you're relying on these guys to start most weeks, it's not a great.
I mean, Ryan Jeffers is the best projection by a good bit. So I guess I'd say Ryan Jeffers, but that's kind of cheating because he's the top guy right after O'Hoppe. Do not wait that late for your catcher too.
Yeah, in a DC don't. In a fab, yeah, you can do worse.
In a fab
things.
league, maybe, but it just my mind is draft and hold right now. I mean,
Yes.
I don't think.
Well, the
fab
question
leagues...
was DC. The question was
Oh,
DC.
well, okay.
So that's why I was just clarifying. A DC, yeah, I wouldn't wait, but I could. This is why catchers get pushed up a bit in DCs as well. Callan says if blank is my catcher too, I know I waited too long. We kind of just hit on that. So if Ryan Jeffers and beyond, you have waited too long. All right, we have two questions we highlighted in the YouTube chat here. TDK says on the DH and catchers, curious about your thoughts on the Atlanta duo and the at-bats they will potentially get sharing both roles. The duo referring to Drake Baldwin and Sean Murphy. What are your thoughts on this one, Ryan?
I'm not worried about Baldwin at all. I know you haven't liked Murphy for quite a while, so
he's still hurt anyways.
Yeah, I'm not. I'm worried about Murphy a ton. We haven't even mentioned him. He's not even on the top. Yeah, it's just not a consideration for me.
He's 28th on the list.
Oh, is he? Oh, yeah, there he is.
Yeah, I won't be drafting him. Even the projections hate him now. 219, 16 homers, 1 steal. They're not even interested.
And I don't think it's a time split. I think it's Baldwin. It's Baldwin and then Murphy on days off.
Agreed. And then Preservius says Ivan Herrera will have catcher eligibility in my league, and I'm unsure where he should slot. Gut says around 8. I would have him in that Goose Drake Baldwin world, probably right behind Baldwin. So
okay, I was going to say Will Smith, Yiner Diaz here. Okay,
Ivan Herrera is an absolute hitting machine. Like, I think he's better than Drake Baldwin personally.
Wow. Okay, I'm not saying that's. I like it. I like it. And that's
Yeah,
something
and
I
that's
should have mentioned at the top. We're using 20 game eligibility, and Ivan Herrera, do you have 19 games? Or am I thinking of somebody else? I don't know. Ivan Herrera qualifies at catcher in different league formats. So
he had 14 games at catcher. He had 89 at DH, but
okay.
he's having that surgery. They're supposed to play him at catcher. We've heard all these things. If he does, it's great, especially if you look at his ADP over the last month. It's 122. So to reference, he's going 30 picks after Drake Baldwin. And that's where it gets very appetizing. He's after Yainer Diaz, which is great. Projections have him playing 139 games, hitting 20 homers, stealing 9 bags, hitting 273 and 591 plate appearances.
That is,
it's right on the Drake Baldwin line, essentially.
That is good. So maybe your Baldwin thing isn't too crazy. 14.
Ivan's a beast. Like last year, the dude hit 284 with 19 homers in 107 games with 8 steals. He is he doesn't strike out. The dude's good. Like really good.
Yeah, my projections have him. Yeah, right below Baldwin, but it's a toss up. So yeah. So Ivan Herrera's really good.
Yeah, 7-8. So like Proserpia said 8. So yeah, 7-8 somewhere in that world. Totally checks out for me. Not going to argue on that one. Now, what are your final thoughts on the catching position? As I think we covered it. Right on bias.
No,
I think we covered it pretty well.
I hope we did. Let us know in terms of the format, listeners out there. This is our first of. I have no idea how many position previews we're going to do.
A lot. And the one thing I'll say is reminder to those that might be new to the show. Well, first, welcome. But if you're new, after we do our previews, we do a couple other shows. Then we will review with like more current Fab ADP, like quick reviews.
And more of a Fab League focus too.
Yes.
As well.
So it's not like this is the last time we'll talk about them in a chunk. We'll do this. We'll have pockets of ADP. There'll be a lot more of every position discussed all the way. That's why we're pushing it up early to make sure we cover it all.
Trust us. Bubba talks catchers on every episode, so don't worry about it. But yeah, no, let us know. I feel like we cover the player pool pretty well here, going pretty deep into at least the top half of the top 30, the guys we like. So I don't know, man. To kind of wrap it all up, to put a bow on it, I think a clear top 8, a nice top 10, a drop off after that. So I'd want to get my catcher 1, usually one of those top 10. And then you can kind of pick your spots in the top 20, roughly around ADP 200 is where I like a few guys where I'd either take my catcher 2 or very quickly go catcher 1-2 with like a Francisco Alvarez, Teal, JTR, Stevenson, O'Hoppe type deal. So that's kind of how I see the position right now.
Yeah, we're pretty similar on our tiering of this one. Like I said, it's interesting looking at our initial rankings. We have the same 1 through 8, just slightly different, same 9-10 basically. Then it gets a little like it shakes up. I think they make for fair conversations with the next groupings, but for the most part, we still kind of hold catcher 1s, catcher 2s in about the same regards. So, yeah, we're kind of in the same boat there, which makes sense and makes me feel good that we are on the same page on that one. But that'll wrap us up here. We'll be back with you guys live on Thursday night for your ears on Friday to preview the first base position and get things rolling there. And then just a reminder, some housekeeping with the holidays coming up. There will be a few 1, 2, 3, 4, who knows, pre-recorded shows coming your direction over the following weeks because we have some fun schedules looking us in the face coming up here. But we will have you guys covered the best we can throughout the holiday season. And we got the previews for you, and we got some more stuff coming your way as the new year reigns in and gets us really going for the 2026 season. But until next time, make sure you follow Ryan on Twitter at RyanBHQ, the podcast at Bubba Bloom Pod, and on Patreon at patreon.com/Bubba Bloom. I'm at BD Intric. This was Bubba and the Bloom episode 303. Catch y'all next time.